Welcome, 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 everybody, to another installment of The Reset, featuring none other than Sweatcicle,
Hey.
myself, Evan F1997, and we are joined by a gamer in the top left corner. What up, Vauda?
Hello. You caught me as I'm still eating my sandwich.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. So today we were given some cool ass shit. Vauda, let me share with you the doc real quick. Today we were given some Gamescon info, and this weekend we were told about the wonderful. My God, why is it syncing here? We were told about the wonderful Luke Smith director's cut. It was actually really, really detailed and went into a lot of things about what we were expected to see, what they liked, what they didn't like, you know, basically what director's cuts are in a nutshell. Okay, Vauda, let me share with you this real quick. So, First impressions. Sweat, what was your first impressions of the of the Gamescom reveal today?
Of which one?
The I guess we'll start with the Xbox one.
Well, that's where all the juicy stuff was at, man. Oh boy.
Turn him up? What? Dude, I swear.
Easy's better. To be honest with you, I don't really remember what was in the Xbox thing. I think we got a look at the artifact. There was like a couple other tidbits in there.
I got a link for it here. I can give us a breakdown.
Okay.
There's the breakdown of the inside Xbox stream.
Okay, so yeah, we gotta look at some of the perks that grant like bonus things on different subclasses. I mean, from the looks of all of them, I'm not going to go through them individually right now. They seem promising. It doesn't seem like they're going to be useless. As long as everything finds a use, dude, I'll be happy. That's what I like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I think the cool thing about it is you're finally looking at mods and class items and class abilities that can really start turning characters into a support role instead of everyone just being I'm always damage and I have a well to put down for a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
You can finally get that. Everybody needs ammo. All right, I can help out with that. I'm spec'ing into that.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing that I loved today, more than anything, realistically, was the fucking finishing moves, man. Seeing that trailer where just that Titan roundhouse kick the fucking ogre in the face was so nice, dude. I don't know what it is about roundhouse kicks, but they're definitely my favorite part about the whole entire thing. So basically, like, you know, the Gamescom one, so the Xbox one was sick, but the Gamescom one was a trailer that apparently had come out a long time ago. Well, was leaked a long time ago. But then 2 years ago, but then just now surfaced. My first question about that. So if you guys didn't see the trailer, basically I'll give you the quick version of it. You see like the Vex milk just like get injected into the Vex and then they come to life to protect the Blackguard. And that is what happened in a nutshell, right? Yeah. So what do we think? Yeah, I know, right? The fucking Vex milk, dude. What do we think about the fact that what do we think about the fact that trailer was 2 years old? And what do you think that says about where Destiny, I guess, originally wanted to go with if that was supposed to come out 2 years ago?
Well,
so do you want to take that?
Yeah, one of a couple things comes in mind. Somebody brought up in my chat earlier that it could be possibly that the artists are working ahead. The first thing that came to mind for me is maybe this was like an earlier scrap project, or they've been working on this DLC for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that it's definitely the latter. I want to say that they worked on it for a hell of a long time, and that this is just going to be the most refined ass area that they've ever done. That's what I want to say. Vauda, what do you think?
Well, I think if you look at what we saw in some of the director's cuts, where Luke says that we're, Bungie's working on things in tandem with each other, a piece of content like this, there's no way that they were like, all right, we've finished Taken King, and now everyone go work on seasons. Like we've launched Destiny 2, everyone go work on seasons. We finished Forsaken, everyone go work on seasons. After that big content drop of Forsaken, there had to have been some team that's like, all right, you guys are all going to now work on the next big content drop. And I've seen on the subreddit a little bit, apparently this cutscene that we saw was part of, or supposed to be part of, a leaked roadmap. I haven't been able to find that leak because I'd like to actually physically look at it and see that there's a source attached to it. But apparently we were supposed to get this as like a Vex DLC, possibly prior to Forsaken. Now,
interesting.
Could have been capital R reasons that we were unable to get it, and they had to push it to now. But either way, I'm glad to see that whatever ideas they've had about the game in the past, they haven't just abandoned those, and we're able to bring it to light now, finally.
Find a good home for them without wasting, like, what's the word for it? Like, I don't want to say
resources.
Resources. Yeah, I guess that's a better word.
Just waste time and money on something that you don't end up seeing the light of day.
Yeah,
right.
Especially something that people put how many hours into, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is that there was supposed to be a year 4 of Destiny 1 originally, and that it got pushed to, okay, you're gonna make Destiny 2, and they just went, well, we don't like, because Destiny 2, they had probably, this is just a complete tinfoil hat theory, that Destiny 2 was supposed to kick off with the Cabal. We built all this Cabal stuff. Where do Vex even fit in? Where does the Black Garden fit into all that? And they were just like, you know what, we'll just save this and put it in the back burner. I bet there's a ton of stuff like that Bungie has just in the back burner. Like, you still see concept art from day one that you just see like get popped up into Destiny 2 late into it. So like, I mean, they take ideas and they probably have things fleshed out, but they just want things to be as perfect as possible. I mean, that's something the game does super, super well. But other than that, did we notice anything from the Gamescom trailer today that really, really stood, from the Xbox trailer, that really, really stood out? Like, that just absolutely caught your eye and went, holy shit, I can't wait for that. Like, something that you haven't seen before.
I don't remember if it was from the Xbox one, but today there was like a screenshot of, I think it might have been on the artifact. There was like a perk that gives you extra heavy ammo. It looked like a raid perk almost on like a piece of armor, maybe it was. I don't remember where exactly that was at, but we've seen quite a few different perks that we've never seen before surface today. I think you have some of these written down here, don't you?
I wrote down pretty much everything from the director's cut, but I tweeted out I tweeted out a photo of just like, holy shit, I'm so juiced for this. Let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, so we saw the exotic called Phoenix Cradle. This is an exotic that it basically turns everybody on your team into a Sun Warrior. It says your Sun Warrior benefits last twice as long, and allies who pass through your sunspots benefit from it. So like, your sunspots are gonna last twice as long, your allies are gonna benefit from it. But as far as like artifacts go, I don't know. I know that they're building artifacts per season, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay.
The other thing that I really noticed that I really liked from that, did you guys see that Void kind of like Gallahorn spin-off kind of weapon?
Oh, dude, I heard about it all day. Gallahorn.
Void Gallahorn, it's here.
It's back. It's back.
You
one
know
of the
what it means?
mods
Sorry
for
about
the, for the artifact was finishers will generate heavy ammo, but it takes half of your super.
That's what it was. Finishers, half your super used for heavy ammo. That's gonna be interesting. I mean, I don't know where that's gonna really, I don't know if you want to give up your super for doing something like that, but if you're using a roaming super, you don't really like using your super, or if you're intellect build, like, you can just keep popping heavy ammo for everybody. But I mean, there's already other ways to get it, and since we talked about last time how there was a screenshot that armaments are still there, I feel like you'd rather use armaments. I don't know if I'd want to give up half of my super for a brick of heavy.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot.
Yeah, it says you get your fire team ammo by doing a finisher. It takes so it gives your whole fire team ammo. Interesting. Okay. I don't know. I still don't know if I'd want to use that. I don't know if everybody's rocking armaments, wouldn't that be more beneficial? Go ahead.
Yeah, it just depends what like subclass you're on. I'd say like specific team build. If you're on like a super that doesn't matter as much as like a well or going to be weapons of light bubble, uh, maybe more opportunities arise for that. Who knows?
Right.
I think it's probably definitely way too early right now to determine whether we think it'll be useful or not, because we don't know how the super economy is going to change. We know the orb of light generation, that's getting changed. We know that for sure. So
when did they
we'll have
mention
to
that?
see.
The orb of
Luke
light.
mentioned it in one of the director's cuts.
That orbs of light are changing.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
He said for Crucible that orbs of light are going to give you way less for your super. That he said that for a Crucible remark. I have that one written down, but I didn't see for PvE.
It might have just been.
I think
it might have just been PvP. I don't know. It was a lot of content to take in, man.
Totally. Oh yeah, no, he dropped a fucking bomb on us. Like, it was awesome. One of the things that I really liked also about the Xbox Gamescom trailer. I mean, obviously there's that hand cannon that everybody's like, oh my god, give me that special ammo hand cannon that'll just fire a brick. I am very, very interested in how finishing moves are going to stack with mods, because I really think that finishing moves have the potential to be really strong. I noticed that when one of them popped their finishing move, it instantly healed them. What the? Just join. Hello? Oh. Okay. All
right.
All right, cool. Love you.
Goodbye, guest.
I noticed that when somebody popped a finishing move that it healed them instantly. I know one of them like did a whole roll and then turned invisible and all that kind of stuff. If somebody wants to join up, by the way, they can. But like, yeah, I don't know. I noticed that when somebody popped the finishing move, it healed them, and then, you know, somebody obviously turned invis because the hunter helmet. But I just think that finishing moves have the potential to be pretty strong, so I'm kind of excited for that.
I hope that finishing moves don't go the way that they did in Doom, where they're cool for a week and then okay, like, all right, I finished this guy.
I mean, they're always going to be like that. It's like, how much do you want to do it, right? Like Doom really incentivized somebody like Doom really incentivized just I don't know, just doing that kind of stuff, like, because Doom fun. But like finishing moves in Destiny, I feel like are going to be not really more situational, but more like, do you want to do it? It's not really necessary because you're already strong.
They'll be a lot more tactical.
Yeah. Okay, so any other remarks on the Gamescom stuff today, guys?
I think we saw a lot of content.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's get into Director's Cut Part 2, man. Oh boy, I wrote down a lot. Just for everybody in chat, I wrote down a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff written down, dude. There's like 5 pages without even double spacing of stuff. So we're gonna start with.
It's gonna be a long night.
Oh no, I mean, we'll go over things individually, but yeah. Okay, so this is going to be part 2. The first heading is the care and feeding of the RPG, add depth, improve customization. So this is what Luke wrote down. In order for a mod to be equipped, your armor needs to have rolled the correct element and have enough energy available. We talked about this on the last podcast. So one thing that I wanted to clear up, and maybe you guys know the answer to this by reading it, maybe chat, maybe you guys understood this better. Does this mean that when we get armor enhanced perks to drop in the open world, they're just unlocked forever and you can just apply them whenever? Is it per class? Is it per account? Is it, you know?
I think he said it's a one-time unlock per. I think it's per character.
Per character. Okay. Got you.
Yeah, and your enhanced perks are going to be dropping from pinnacle style activities. So
raids and
raids. Assuming Nightfall remains a pinnacle activity, you'll get it from there. And I would imagine some kind of PvE pinnacle content, whatever they decide to do with that.
Totally.
Who knows?
Totally
It's totally up in the air for that one.
Dude, oh man. Okay, and then the next thing that he said is that random rolls are going to work by elemental affinity rules, so arc, solar, and void armor, and then armor starting with an energy value you can roll randomly, but you can always increase it. So think about that, like, hey, I got a 7 out of 10 on this, like that's pretty good, but at the same time, you know, like you can always just upgrade that 7 to even higher. And then the stats are going to be rolled as well. But what he did specify, and something that I really liked about this, is he said, on new armor, super mods are completely gone. So all new armors, goodbye super mods.
Pog.
Bless the freak up, man. That's good.
Yeah.
But how much is intellect gonna affect that time? That's my one.
Well, he said that supers were coming back in 2 minutes with super mods, and he said we wanted that to be a longer gap. He said you can still do an intellect build, but I guess Vauda, what do you think? Do you think that super mods are gonna, or do you think that intellect stacking is still gonna be just so prevalent that it's not even gonna matter?
It depends, I think, on how it's going to be implemented. If you look at a diminishing return system with supers, you know, if you start at, say it's 5 minutes to build your super, and then the first tier knocks off 30 seconds, and then the next tier it's changing it by 25, and then 20, and so on and so on, instead of just getting a 30-second decrease every time, I think it'll be managed better. I think with this, you're going to see a lot less people relying on supers. I know when we were doing Crown for the first time, or for the first couple times, a couple of warlocks in my group were like, I have to use my well, like I'm going to die here, I have to use my well. Like hunters are very squishy. Warlocks, I feel like, are not. I feel like they have a much better survivability rate. And I play a hunter, so I would be surviving without many issues. And I'd be like, why are you using your well right now? Just use like a grenade instead, and you'll heal yourself, and you'll be fine. It's like, nope, I'm using my well.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we get rid of some of that super dependency and have people using different class abilities to take care of themselves.
Right. So basically, I guess Luke's whole point there is that super mods are they're broken. He understood that pretty well, and I think I think personally this should have been gone a long time ago, but you know how they like to do it. They like to give stuff a lot of time and people to abuse the meta for a while before they eventually either end it or do some huge adjustments, right? What interests me though, I don't really think it matters what intellect builds will do in PvE. PvP it might matter. Intellect builds in PvP in intellect builds in PvE won't really matter to me that much. I mean, I think people getting their super back is already so strong. I think we've honestly been spoiled by how fast we get our super back. Like Phoenix Protocol, and he even talked about the part 1 where they're reducing how strong those exotics are, because I think we're gonna notice pretty quickly how much longer things are gonna take in PvE. Even if you have the intellect all the way stacked up, you're not gonna be chunking a few thrall and getting half your super back that quickly if you're in a Phoenix well. Like, I mean, that is so strong, right? So I think no matter what, it can't really, for PvE, it can't really be any stronger. I mean, if it could, then oh my god. But I don't know, I think intellect builds aren't going to be that big of a deal in PvP. Even if you are doing intellect builds, then you lose your ability to have a grenade, you lose your ability to have your melee ability up. So I don't see it being that big of an issue right now. I mean, we have to see. The armor migration. Yeah, so he talked about how they ran a test with some of the developers that basically that a lot of people, when they first hopped into Shadowkeep, were still running their because everything gets moved up to 750. And so like they still had their year 2 gear, and then a lot of them really liked keeping their year 2 gear on still. What is that like? I mean, I guess that's more of a intro to it, kind of how we went from year one and then we moved on to Forsaken stuff and we kept on leveling and leveling and leveling, and then eventually we got rid of our year one stuff completely. But like being able to keep our gear with the stuff that we have on it, you know, we can slot new mods. Do you think that you'll be using your gear a lot that you have from year two, considering it can be used just like year three gear? There is no, I don't know, do you see yourself using it still a lot, or do you think that you'll make the quick adjustment to the other stuff?
Maybe. I mean, it depends, right? Like, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of people going in, and part of it depends on how the infusion system is going to work. Can I bring my gear up, my existing
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
gear again? Okay.
They're not vaulting it. They're just bringing everything up to a floor of 750. Everything. So you can still use year two stuff. You can even go to Sloan on Titan, pick up the armor set from her and use that, and that can still, you can still throw on year three mods. So you can use any armor in the game to, it's more of a armor has become more of a cosmetic and less of an RPG thing. The mods are the RPG element. The armor itself is a cosmetic.
That was kind of interesting to me, is that all the armor is being changed to 2.0, so it might be useful to save some of this year 2 gear, because you're never going to be able to get that back.
For a while, yeah. I mean, that's what is heavily implied, is like, yeah, you know, you should still probably keep a lot of that stuff. You shouldn't just vault it or dismantle it for shards or whatever, you know. So
I see these people going and dismantling their whole vault. It's like, bro,
just wait. You don't know if you need that yet. Wait.
yeah, dude. Sweat's
you're
got
gonna hate
those.
yourself in like 2 months when there's like, I don't know, some benefit to having old gear or something like that, you know?
Yep, Sweat's got that freaking 100k burying bows ready to go, dude.
Don't tell me strats, bro.
Yeah. Solstice, year 4. Use year 2 gear to complete this event. Everyone will be like, son of a bitch.
Okay, cool. So that is the armor migration that he was talking about. One of the notes that he made, this is kind of his live journal. This is in the part 2. If anybody's just now joining us, we're talking about part 2 of Luke Smith's director's cut. Luke talked about, because he wants to bring back the live journal. I guess this is something that he had done a lot and he just stopped doing it for a while. But he said, yeah, one of the things that he personally noted is that he loves when the game gets hard, and he feels like we would benefit from more challenge. He said he really liked how contest mode enforced an action game skill component on world's first attempts.
Big
Guys,
agree.
Very
big agree.
What is ultimately the first step to making just not, we're not going to go too far into how in-depth hard we can make the game, but what is the first move that you do to make the game hard? Any activity. I guess you could just, we'll say outside of the raid, because Contest did a great job of doing that, right? But we'll just say for strikes, Nightfalls.
Yeah. Okay, so if you don't mind me going first.
Go for it. Go for it, dude.
Go for it.
The first thing that comes to mind is balancing supers back to where they're not, well, they're doing that, at least in terms of like applying buffs where you can't multiplicatively multiply your buffs, so you're doing 7,000 million% damage. It only prioritizes one buff now, so the highest percentage buff that you're getting is all you're going to be able to output. And then from there, I think you'd want to lower the gap between the S tier weapons and the A tier weapons, I guess. Like you got Mountaintop up here, and you got, I don't even know what to put in the
We
A
got
tier.
like Ikelos in the A tier, right?
There's such a huge gap between those top 2 slots that it like there's no really fine line between them. You're either using something that's labeled as busted to a lot of people, or something that's like it could be used if this wasn't busted.
True. Vauda, what do you think? What's the first move you would do in order to make the game harder? I think that was a great point, Sweat.
I mean, I agree. Specifically,
Sweat is so quiet, dude. I have Sweat at 200%. I don't think he.
Can you just eat your microphone? Just put it,
or just turn it up
into your mouth. But no, I everything that you said, I agree with. I think the discrepancy between those S and A tier weapons is just so astronomically huge that a lot of people, specifically more on the casual side, like I would say the 3 of us are probably pretty hardcore gamers. Maybe we're not all hardcore enough to get 100,000 barium bows, but we're pretty hardcore.
Right.
You know, for us to take the time to go grind out those weapons, it's worth it to us. Whereas, you know, Dave, who plays with his buddies 3 times a week for a couple hours, gets the raids done, and he's happy.
Yeah.
He might look at everything and go, "Well, why the fuck am I gonna go try and get mountaintop? I don't even use grenade launchers. Like, there's no point." And then
That's true.
he sees how good it is, and he's like, "Well, I'm never gonna be that good. Like, there's no point."
I think I fully agree with the fact that there's some weapons that are like B tier that don't even feel like why would I ever use this? You know, like I felt like exotics were always meant to be situationally I should use this thing in this way, but it shouldn't just be limited to that one thing, right? I think that like something like if I want to like I shouldn't be punished for wanting to use an exotic weapon for an activity that that would just, I don't know, like for example, a strike, right? I could use Trinity Ghoul if I wanted to, right? We'll put that in the D tier of exotics or whatever, right? That's not a great exotic, but if I want to use Trinity Ghoul, I shouldn't like be forced into a meta where it's like, bro, where is your mountaintop? Where is your recluse? Where is your tractor cannon? What are you doing? And it's like, well, shit, dude, I don't have
lunas. What
I'm
are you
like,
doing?
yeah, you're a warlock. You don't have lunas. So like, I think bridging that gap and making the game harder in the sense that it shouldn't just be one meta. Trinity Ghoul isn't a great example because fucking Trinity Ghoul is really bad, but like, you know, there's some exotics that I really want to use, but I don't see myself using because I'm just like, well, that's just not going to be efficient here. Like, that's just not going to be fun. The point in case is Risk Runner, because Risk Runner is so much fun to use. It feels so great to use, and it's really pretty powerful, but it's just, oh, wait, there goes my exotic slot in SMG. I don't know.
It sucks to be limited. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why...
the other thing, too... Oh, go ahead, Sweat.
No, go for it.
I was going to say the other comparison, you know, to go back with exotics is you look at Recluse versus Teraba.
Mm-hmm.
Teraba being an exotic weapon should, you know, you think be that pinnacle peak weapon. You know, I should just mow everything down with this. Whereas everyone's like, I have Recluse. I don't care if I get Teraba. It's garbage. It's Teraba.
It's like
Terabad.
It's the worst Recluse is what it is. And they, oh jeez, man.
But let's not get too far off the wagon here. We just finished the live journal, so we're in the pursuit of power, increasing player agency. This is what Luke said. We've also had a long-standing challenge in Destiny of making XP matter, and that feels like a real growth opportunity for us to dig into something we've wanted to look at for a while. So powerful sources, primes, and the world. This part was actually really, really interesting to me. The way that they are adjusting prime engram. So if you guys don't know, right now, you get this thing called prime attunement, where you just have it, and a prime engram will drop just pretty consistently in an activity as long as you have prime attunement on. Now, prime engrams can give you, what is the max? 7 power levels, like higher than what you are. Like, you won't go up 7, but it'll drop 7 for whatever thing that is. It has a max of 7, I believe, right? So that's like huge power increases are relative to prime engrams. So they are changing the system to advertise a consistent, expected, powerful reward regardless of your power relative to it. What does that mean, guys?
I think it means the system is finally going to be smart enough to register what piece of equipment you need and balance you to where, okay, you're 925 on every item, but for some reason you haven't lucked out and your boots are 919. You're going to get boots. It's going to boost you to what you need. It'll level you off. You'll hit that next year.
Yes. Day 1, I remember one of my clanmates got 10 helmets in a row, and his prime engram was a helmet.
Oof.
So
That's
just
rough.
being able to at least try to help to cement that's a really good start. I think that's a really good system. They also say, this is really interesting, prime engrams will begin dropping once you hit 900. and you will accumulate charges for them as you make your way from 750 to 900. So you won't get prime engrams until you are 900, but you will keep charging them up as you do activities in the game, just to try to get you that boost to then get them. I guess I don't really.
You have to earn the big drops.
Gotta
You
earn
have
them.
to play to accumulate these drops. It sounds like you won't have to play the end game stuff, but as long as you're actually playing, you will eventually get these drops, which is good.
Yeah.
Got you. That's dude. That's such a good change, man. I can't even tell you. Prime engrams.
There's a lot of good changes to it, dude.
That's so good.
My.
That's such a good change. Oh god damn. Okay. So and it says we've increased the number of prime engrams you can earn in a given week and rebalance the value of each one account for the increase in volume. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just saying that rebalance the value of each one account for the increase. So is that just saying the more you get, the less power of a jump you get, or is that saying, like, is that saying that if I get a bunch of prime engrams in a week, that the power will start to slowly decrease on them? Should we expect like a number jump on them to start, and then it'll slowly get closer and closer in?
Rebalance the value of each one to account for the increase in volume. So
Maybe
the more you're gonna get more prime engrams, but they're not gonna be like +5 to 8s anymore, is what it sounds like. So I'm gonna assume they're gonna be like +3 to 5s, maybe even lower.
I think so. I think that's what he's trying to say. I think it's like just saying, because you know how like you can get a bunch of prime engrams right now as long as you have prime attunement. I think what he's saying is like, you know, if you get the first one you get is going to be like a potentially +7, but you could also get one that's like a +1 later on in the week if you just keep getting, because it's like just rewarding you for keeping on playing. I think that's a good system, because then you're getting like a slight jump. And yeah. Hello. All right, word.
Professional podcast, by
the way. World drops often feel like a waste to get away with. Oh, this is also really cool. Oh my god, this to me feels like the best change that they could have made here for just world drops. It's saying world drops often feel like a waste. To get away from that, we've made some changes to allow these drops to help players progress beyond the soft cap. World drops in Shadowkeep will have a chance to drop at a player's current power level. Guys,
this is huge. This is fucking ginormous.
Yeah.
Like this, instead of the little swing slong ding dong, this is bing bong.
Nice.
This
nice.
is huge.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is huge.
This, I would have liked to have seen year one, day one, D1. Why it wasn't, I don't know. Maybe like system limitation, maybe. I don't know, but
The cam.
it should have been.
Oh.
No. Uh-oh.
We'll be back.
Evan's breaking.
Don't worry. We'll be back.
This is now a sweaty
The
Keep
one
going.
thing that worries me is what defines a world drop. Is that vendors included, or is that just like random drops / public events? Because those are like the only two things that come to mind. Because you're not getting legendaries from patrols, maybe from lost sectors, possibly. I didn't even think about that.
I think it'd be anything that can give you a legendary
Yeah.
that's specifically in the world. Like I don't think a vendor would necessarily count as a world drop since you're going to purchase that. I think they're gonna have a fixed power or light level, whatever it is in this game. I've lost track.
Hold on, I'm gonna rejoin the room. Hold on. Professional.
Welcome to the Vauda and Sweatcicle podcast. Live
Sorry,
on
chat.
FNF
I'm gonna return to the
1997.
room real quick. We're gonna get this all set up and looking nice. I don't know why my camera just my camera likes to do this. There we go. Why do we have 4 people in here? Hello?
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 Oh, Evan's echoing again.
Who is guest?
I
Sir?
had to mute the tab.
maybe
Evan
it's you.
does have his mic muted in here.
There we go.
Evan, read Discord, by the way.
Alright. Mic's off in here. We're good. Read Discord, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll make sense.
All right. Anyways, continuing.
Yes.
Oh. Got you.
World drops often feel like a waste. To get away from that, we've made some changes to that allow these drops to help players progress beyond the soft cap. World drops and Shadowkeep will have a chance to drop at a player's current light level. So again, for those who don't know, say you have all 709 gear, for example, and then your boots are like 705. You'll be able to go get those open world drops and then bring that up to 709 with the rest of your stuff.
Oh, dude.
Actually, it would be
Okay.
708.
I just fixed it. I just had to lock the room. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, basically, guys, what that means, what that whole power thing, with the whole power fantasy, what the whole open world drops is if I go in, I pick up a legendary engram off the ground, it's not just automatically shards. It is, hey, I don't have to farm the nightfall anymore for the blues that can drop higher than before. That is very, very nice.
It's preventing you from getting screwed over, like I know a lot of people do. Like, again, that helmet where you get 10 helmets in a row and you need just gloves to bring you up like 2 light levels. This will help you prevent that. You might still get 10 helmets in the open world, but you're not wasting powerful drops. You'll eventually get those pair of gloves that you need, and it will not cost you any of your big milestones.
Right.
Yeah, which is good. I think, like I said, I think that needed to have been in the game for a lot longer than it hasn't been. So
yeah,
I'm very, very excited to see this moving forward. It's a very, very good change.
Yeah, I am very, dude, oh my god, this right there solves the day one races of holy shit, my RNG today is terrible. That's why because that was the number one thing that people didn't like about the current way that raid races are handled. It's just like, wow, my RNG sucks, like everything's all RNG as far as my drops. So like if I get all these different things, like, well, now you can just literally keep on scaling up, like it's not going to be that big of a deal, and this just works for everything, and it's the best thing that they could have done for just open world drops. It really is.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about more power, more problems. This is what Luke Smith wanted to talk about. He said that in Destiny 1, it was one of the only things players had to pursue. In Destiny 1, power/light meant something in terms of achievement, but that Badge of Honor had its problems. The Forever 29 raid boots. Remember Vault of Glass being stuck at 29? I remember my first time in Vault of Glass, not knowing how to raid, not really knowing anything, going in completely blind. The first drop I get is a Vault of Glass chest piece, and I'm just like, what the hell do I do? It's just a chest piece. Dismantle. And my friend's like, what the fuck are you doing? So power and all that kind of stuff, that was the way you leveled up to max level. You had to get to level 30 by doing the raid and getting really lucky with your drops, and that was the only way to get to level 30, was doing that. What's up? Oh, just that? Yeah.
Just the flashbacks, dude.
Oh yeah. Over the years, we made the power climb shorter and shorter. We made it easier and easier to reach max power level. So this is the way, guys, that Luke Smith has revealed that each season, this is how you're going to get max power. Seasonal artifacts, unique and thematic to each season. Sweat, you want to kick us off with some artifact stuff? It's all on the dock here.
Let me take a peek over at the old good words.
At the old dock. Yeah, it's on page 2.
Yeah.
The words and sentences.
So the thing that really surprised me is that this. Okay, so let me read this again. Seasonal artifact can award players a power bonus, but that bonus is not applied to gear, nor does it increase the power of your future drops, but instead to all of your characters. So essentially, if you're just leveling up doing like bright engrams, it's going to give you like what I like to call synthetic light. So that way, if you're a casual player, don't like doing the raids, you can still have like it gives you more of a light level, so you can go do like maybe strikes or something if you want to try that out, or get your feet in the raid. It's a really weird thing to me, because I don't fully understand how that's gonna work with the rest of your gear, if they're gonna like combine together to make like a maximum power if you add both of them together. And we don't know what like the maximum boost is that the artifact can give you.
I think it was, well, if I had to, it says I mean, it says drops above power 950 in season 8. So my guess is we might hit 999, 960,
49 or 50.
Well, it's saying that it's saying that,
leveling up.
yeah, it's saying these sources are the only way to earn things above 950. So we know that we're going above 950 in season 8. So
Okay.
I don't know how far above, but it says that basically raising the artifact's power by doing the pinnacles will give you above 950. So I think you can hit 950 by doing powerful activities, just not pinnacle power activities.
Yep.
So I my guess is that we're gonna be, after the campaign, after all that stuff is done, we're gonna be at either 850.
850.
Yeah, something like that, and then everything can raise you to 950, but only the raid and maybe comp, like 3v3 comp playlist or something, because they just said pinnacle power activities. So my guess would be comp and the raid would be the only ways to go any higher.
One of the
Dungeon.
things that we saw today on the Inside Xbox thing was nightmare hunts. They glanced over those quickly, and they
Mhm.
showed 3 different difficulties: adept, hero, and legend. And the legend was 950. So I think we might be able to like base 950, 960, and we might hit 1,000 even with those pinnacle contents bringing you higher and higher. I'd be willing to say we might hit 1,000 power.
So
That'd be
if-
awesome.
we don't know what kind of activities those are. I'm gonna assume they might be similar to like strikes or adventures, but that leaves the question: is what is the raid gonna be at?
Yeah.
Dude, I really wish they would have scrolled over the tab on that screenshot of the moon.
Yeah. I'm sure that was specifically pre-recorded so nobody screwed up on stage. and
Yeah.
For
hovered
sure.
over
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, my guess is man, if I had to say anything, I would say that, because Forsaken we stopped at 500 and then we grinded until we just kept on grinding, right? And just kept on. My guess is that it's going to be either 850 or 900, and then maybe 850 sounds more correct. I think 850 is where the campaign and where you can just go. But then I think from there it's just do pinnacles, just do powerful. So if I had to guess, the rate is going to be 910, 920, maybe even 930.
Well,
I don't know.
Contest, they could lower it like they did with Crown.
Mhm.
Like Crown was,
Oh, true.
it was in a lower bracket, and then after the 24 hours is up, it'll go back up to the intended light level.
True. I think contests will change it for sure. So it'll probably go down like 20 or 30 power on that day.
And the other thing that we're not taking into account too is we don't know how the power grind is going to change systematically as soon as we go in. Like we might, our soft cap might be 900, and we might jump pretty high from 750 up, and then it slows down astronomically.
Yeah. One thing that we did see today is, I know, I lost a screenshot. There was a little screenshot of like when they hovered over the thing, there was a reward and it said rewards powerful gear tier 1.
Yep. Yeah. And that's actually what somebody in my chat, who was it? Somebody said that there are Bev said we saw the nightmare modes go up to 950. So I think 950 would be the one that would maybe that's what they mean by like a pinnacle activity. Maybe that difficulty is pinnacle. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But I if I had to put my money on it, I would say if there's a 950 event, that would probably be a pinnacle activity. Depending on what the event is, maybe that's what they mean by a pinnacle thing. Because there's different difficulty tiers. They are bringing that into a lot of different activities as difficulty tiers.
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused on what the nightmare modes are. I'm assuming that's their redacted thing. I don't know, or maybe that could just be for strikes. They want different difficulties. I don't really understand the whole nightmare mode thing, but we're getting off topic a little bit. So he also said we feel like the power system may benefit from a rework further down the road. There's a real potential in creating more agency for players, figuring out if power should be prestigious or not, and taking on the challenge of how to keep players relatively close together season after season while still allowing them to make progress.
I think
go ahead, sorry.
I think one big thing that would allow players to catch up from season to season is if they kept the artifact, but say as soon as the season's over, you're able to bridge that gap just by doing the XP leveling or the synthetic light. would be a good way for players to catch up. I don't know how that would transfer though, because he said that doesn't affect your normal powerful drops. So
Wait, what do you mean?
I don't know. It's hard to explain. So
Give me
again,
like give me the dumb brain version, because I'm a dumb guy, so give me the dumb brain version.
synthetic light bridge gap between season to season with XP, but the problem with that is that synthetic light, if you're like 20 light levels up, you're not going to get better normal gear powerfuls, because those don't affect your normal powerful drops. Does that make sense? It's confusing.
So you're saying add a system where if you basically play a lot more, it can carry into next season where you can level up faster next season?
So you can catch up to the players.
Oh, I got you.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's a cool concept. Okay, that's a deep thinky kind of thing, but I definitely agree. That's an interesting idea. I have not heard that one before. It's like that's a good way to do catch up, I think, instead of just, because I don't know, I think there is a part of me that loves the fact that players don't even have to wait, they can just jump into a new season, but there's also a part of me that's like, there should be something for them to do to like not skip out on all of the content that they missed. You know, I agree that 750 for everybody is a great move to get everybody back in and restarted. And really, this is their proving ground year for all of the people that said fuck Bungie, fuck Destiny, all that kind of stuff. This is like the big proving ground. So that's a good way to do it for this year. But I do think going forward, that would be a really cool system. Like, have some kind of a catch-up system where they start power leveling a lot faster to get to where we are, but they still have something to do. They still have to either A, do the activities, or B, experience something from that season to go even faster through it. That's a cool idea. Vauda, do you have any just quick ideas on that? On just power adjustment, power system?
I think as long as they don't make it, again, this is assuming that those pinnacle, knowing that the pinnacle content is going to give you a higher light level than people who don't do the pinnacle content. As long as they don't, is like, if we switch, say when we go from Season of the Undying, the new season that's coming up, to whatever the season is after that, if they bring everybody up to hypothetically 1,000, and 1,000 was your peak for pinnacle content, all your pinnacle content players are gonna go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How come you guys are just giving them 1,000?
Right.
Pinnacle activity. If base becomes 950, and from 950 you can gain another 50 from doing pinnacle, then the jump into the next season has to cap at 950.
And
you can't grant pinnacle level,
and that is the never-ending thing for the developers right now, is how do we make endgame players feel like they deserve, they earned it, they feel good, but also make it so people aren't completely cut off who maybe don't get to play the game as much and don't feel like, because even though, let's be honest, in my opinion, I think most of our opinion, we think that most activities for endgame players should reward us for doing these activities, but at the same time, there are people that just never get to experience raids, and I think it's only fair that, you know, considering only 5% of the game's population does the raids actively, that a lot of people should be included in that conversation, because ultimately you got to sell the game to everybody. It's not just us, it's everybody. So I think these are great ideas, guys. That was really well said.
Yeah, I use WoW as an example a lot when I talk to my friends.
Oh, and they do
WoW
too.
Has heroic raids, and they have mythic raids. Like, if you're not a mythic level raider, you're not going to be the max level. You're not going to have the best gear. That's the end all be all of it. It's been that way for 10 years. It's going to continue to be that way.
Oh, and
people get used to it.
And Luke Smith is, I think they said most of the team were former like hardcore WoW players.
Any chance Luke Smith gets to tell you that back in my WoW days, he would take that opportunity.
Exactly. So I mean, they're aware of like knowing what they're aware of trying to bridge that gap, but they're also trying to kind of reinvent the wheel. That's what they always keep on saying, is like, well, we don't want things to just be like this. We want to try new things until we figure out something that we like. And I do like that transparency that they have there. He also said one final thing on the power system, is he said, I think wanting and needing materials is a good thing as long as you know what you can do to go pursue that material. So basically saying that you know, having things like motes of light were a good thing. Having these, I don't know, these rare coins that look really cool that you can sell in collector's editions of the game that people buy, maybe those are cool. I don't know. But he basically said that having multiple material systems is a really good thing, because then you have more stuff to look forward to, more stuff to grind for. But he doesn't want to make it super over the top, like just kind of like so many materials that it's in your face all the time, basically avoiding the whole Destiny 1 year 1 part 1 of just all right, time to go farm some materials on Venus again because I want to upgrade my gear. Like that's what they kind of want to avoid. What do you guys think about them adding more materials into the game?
Those are really rough days.
Do you guys like the simplicity of the materials that we have now, or do you guys think that adding something more is a good thing?
I don't think that farming materials in D1 at least was that bad compared to D2. D2 they seem like a lot more rare in the open world, at least for some worlds. I know Dreaming City, there's BBs everywhere you look, but
yeah, you know.
Really, how would you know that they're there?
But like, well, that's also because in Destiny 1, right? Like they started out by the game was designed around having materials all over the world too, right? So like that wasn't the core philosophy design in D2.
Yeah. I definitely think it'd be good for them to implement, well, they have implemented them into multiple sources, but you run into the problem, hopefully it gets fixed, AFK Forge farming, as well as it might just get to the point where literally everything gives you materials and then you have way too many, and then there's no really point to have them in a game as a currency if everybody's just got a million of them.
Yep.
So
yeah, like I sit back to myself and I think like, man, why am I paying for raid banners still? You know, like, is this a way for me to funnel materials, or is this just like, okay, it's just going to take some time for me? You know, I liked it when materials were kind of needed. Like I will never forget, and this is something that is going to be really hard to do. I don't see them doing this because I feel like this would be too much of a stretch just for materials, but this is just an example. I remember in Destiny 1 year 1, in the very beginning, when I didn't really understand the concept of strange coins, I didn't understand the best way to get them, and I remember seeing that Xur was selling a Suros, and I went, oh my god, that's the weapon everybody's using. It cost me 21 strange coins. So I spent probably 10 hours just trying my ass off to get those strange coins. I eventually got it and I bought it and I went, oh, well, next week's weapon's gonna suck, so no big deal. I got the Suros. And you know what next week's weapon was? Can you fill in the blanks? It was Galahorn. Yup.
Say Galahorn week 2.
Galahorn was week 2, so I got my Suros in week 1 just for Galahorn to come out in week 2. And
it's okay,
yeah,
so you didn't waste your exotic slot on a heavy, so you're fine.
facts.
Who would ever use a heavy and exotic slot?
But I do really miss that. I really do miss that feeling of I don't know, man. I really miss that feeling of just having materials actually matter in some way, because I feel like legendary shards for everything feels like, okay, so we're all on one universal currency of legendary shards. It also adds some kind of, in a way, some kind of world building for me. If there is some other materials that, you know, other vendors want certain materials, there's stuff to keep going for, you know, like that plays into the loop of things. So I think adding more materials for me is a good thing.
Yeah.
As long as we don't get into the issue we ran into with enhancement cores, and you know, we have a dedicated way to get this item. We know how to get this item, and we're not economy starved. Like, oh, this item doesn't drop frequently enough, or it's too much of a hassle to try and get this piece of equipment. Like I remember getting in D1 with the Ascendant materials to upgrade your weapons. Run the raid to get your materials. You run out of raids, you run out of opportunities to get materials.
Yep.
True. Ascendant shards, Ascendant energy, that kind of stuff, which we are seeing Ascendant shards come back in the form of upgrading your weapons. But I don't know, man. I think there was something really cool about the whole motes of light system and the whole strange coin system. It also added that nuance of like, oh, well, there is, you know what's the right word there? I don't know, but there is something more to spend, something more that certain vendors want, because there's just more to the world. I think materials
to picking and choosing.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that about sums up Power Chase and the Prime Engrams and the materials The next thing, this is some other talking points. Combat, the inevitable collision of action and RPG, damage numbers, and the 999,999 problem. He says that we are not nerfing your outgoing damage. We are refactoring the display numbers, so they're just fixing the UI on that. This is the part that interests me though. Immunity wall is now to 100 instead of 50. What does this mean, everybody? This means that right now, if you are 50 power levels below, you will not see immune on enemies. You will see skulls. You will get your ass kicked, but you will see skulls. Now that is being dropped down to 100 power levels. So now you can be 100 power below the activity that you're in, and you and the enemy. Yeah, it says the at power, you and the enemy are the same power. Experience isn't changing. This isn't a nerf. This is a way for folks to take on a greater challenges by fighting further below the power curve. So what do you guys think about 100 below?
I think it's good. I hope that it's implemented into more activities because, as we know, well, it's more specifically when new raids come out, when people are playing under leveled, it's a lot more exciting because you're not gonna one try everything. Because once you go over the power cap, then everything becomes too easy, and you're basically just getting tickled the entire time, especially when you're sitting in a well.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, Vauda, what do you think?
I think we'll see a lot more people comfortable with doing higher difficulty activities. You know, instead of having someone at 50 power level going, "Ooh, like there's no way," and they get up to 40 below. They're like, I still don't know if I can do that. I think seeing that 100 difference is really going to give players who maybe didn't have that previous confidence that chance to be like, you know what, I'm only like 50 below. I could probably just smash that out in like 20 minutes. Let's just go do it.
I just like it for the fact that if I'm playing with a friend and I'm doing a nightfall, or if I'm doing a strike and he just goes, dude, I can't do this, like all these guys are immune for me, I just like the fact that he can at least still try and still do some kind of damage. I guess that's like a quality of life change that I think is going to help if you're trying to like power level a friend. I think that's a good way to do it.
Especially with the game now having that free to play option with new light.
Oh yeah. Oh definitely, dude. Like, hey, oh my god.
Help you. Let's get going.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. That's actually a really good point. New light being associated with that is awesome. Holy shit. I didn't even think about that. Buffs, debuffs, and the stacking rule. Now, Sweat, you're gonna fucking love this part, dude. Ready?
Here we go.
The way damage stacks works in the game right now is busted.
Yep.
Multiplicative damage combines with the exponential damage inflation above the send damage numbers, so to soaring heights. We cannot continue this way. So I'm pretty sure he even said at the beginning of this, which I didn't include in the doc, but I'm pretty sure he said, in the words of Glad, that the game right now is busted. He said, so basically this is what they're doing. We've overhauled the system under the hood, so the damage calculations only use the most powerful buff on a player at a given time. It's got nuance to it though. If you are under the damage effect of something stronger than a Well of Radiance, you will still receive the healing effect from the well, but the damage bonus would come from the other buff. An example would be Lumina or Weapons of Light. It says we have touched the effects of and duration of a number of them. These effects include Hammer Strike, Shattering Strike, the fucking Goat, which is Tracked Cannon, Shadow Shot, and Shadow Shot will now work on powerful weapons as well. One buff and one debuff at a time. The exotics and weapon amplification perks will remain multiplicative, increase to damage above the ability buff's value. That's a lot of buff and a lot of debuff in one sentence. So guys, what we are seeing is that if you are standing in a well, you will not be able to stack well with the Weapons of Light bubble. You will not be able to stack a buff with another buff. It will just take the most strong buff that you have. So what do you guys think about that? Where do we see that coming into play in the raids? Where do we see that coming into play in everything?
You're gonna have to, I think they're shifting towards requiring players to do sustained DPS more than burst DPS now, which is very, very good to see, because I personally think that it definitely adds like a longevity. I can't say the word
Longevity?
value
Yeah.
to the game. So again, the repeat until you finally succeed type of thing, and it feels better when you finally do after it takes a while. Yeah, I'm gonna miss melting stuff. Obviously, being the big badass dude who
Dude,
can just sit and shoot
Callus,
something
man.
3 times with a punch, a tractor cannon, a flying arrow,
Yeah.
50 million buffs. It's just gonna be nice to have to optimize again rather than just like, okay, spray this until he's dead.
Yeah, it's gonna bring a lot of strategy back into the game as opposed to just
Yeah.
everybody hit F and
Yep.
just click and we're done. We win. Fight's over. One phase, we did it. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
Oh, we
dude.
didn't do it in one phase. Wipe. It's faster to do it again.
Yeah.
It's, one of the comments in here is already Callus will finally get a break. Like no, we're roasting that weenie still. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, but I just think it's really nice that, because as much as I love being able to be like, yo, who's got the well? Okay, you got the well. Okay, I got the empowered. Okay, I got I got the hammer strike in, you know, like that kind of stuff. It's cool to be able to do that, but at the same time, I think we all need to sit back and realize bosses are a lot more fun when you actually have to fight them, not just when you roast them in a second. Now, for me, I do a lot of Sherpas, so it's a lot of fun just being able to be like, yep, we're done, that's it, all right, cool. But it's also a lot more fun when people actually learn the mechanics of the fight the way that they want you to. So I think it's gonna be so cool. Riven, oh my god, imagine actually being able to fight Riven. We're still gonna be able to do so much damage to Riven. It still won't even be a problem. But you know, for future fights going in, you might actually have to think while you fight a boss. And I know some of the players that don't raid that often don't really understand how buffs really stack together. So let me give you a prime example of how strong some of these buffs are, okay? Number one, you can take a Well of Radiance, which gives you a 35% damage buff to all of your weapons at a well. Now you take that with let's say you're on the Leviathan and you're fighting a Galron, right? You can stack this thing called Emperor's Blaze, where as long as you are running a solar subclass and you're standing in a well, all your weapons get a 20% damage increase. You take that and you stack that with Striking Hand, which is a punch to or a killing an enemy with a melee, gives you another 20% damage buff on top of that. You take that with Empowered as well if you're a Warlock, giving you another 15%, and then somebody being able to use a Tractor Cannon, which I know is a debuff, which will apply if you're using a Swarm of the Raven, because it's Void. Tractor Cannon will give you another 50% on top of all of that. That is so many.
These are multiplicative.
These are multiplicative. These all work together multiplicatively. So you will. That's a fucking big ass word.
Let's say multiplicatively 5 times faster.
Multiplicatively. Jesus. So you can swarm with the Raven that dude in like 5 seconds. So I mean, you do all of that stuff together and it's so strong. Yeah, I already mentioned the empowered melee. I mean, it's just another 15% on top of everything. It's really strong. We like it, but it's very strong. So now with this system, you're only going to be able to use the effects of one of the buffs and one of the debuffs. The exotics will still stack multiplicatively. So like Tractor Cannon will still be able to be multiplicative with Illumina buff, but it's not going to be, you can't apply a bunch of buffs together and then just run off like that, run off into the sunset with them.
So one other thing to add here is that that's not the only thing being tuned. I don't know if this might be ahead as well, or this might be, I don't remember when he talked about, it sounds like they're going to be changing the auto reload thing with, like rally barricades and lunas. He hinted at that. I don't remember exactly what he said, but if that gets changed as well, the melts are going to be significantly
shorter. I keep telling people, because people keep saying, you know, what's broken right now is actually spike grenades. What's broken right now is the fact that our grenade launchers are so strong. No, what I tell people is that no, what's broken right now is the fact that you never have to reload in a well with something like a grenade launcher, and you can stack all those things together. The grenade launcher meta only came out from being able to be stacking everything together into a well. It just came out of players just getting really smart with what we had in the game. That's where it came from.
When they changed Lunas, dude, the whole game changed.
Oh yeah,
like, I don't remember what Lunas originally did, honestly. But when they changed them to the auto reloading, shit hit the fan.
I think
bro.
Luna's started out as, somebody in chat correct me if I'm wrong here, but Luna's I believe started out with auto reloading and then they changed it to make it so you had to leave and then come back into the healing rift. And or it might have worked for only primaries. Somebody help me out with that one, but Luna's were different before.
Primaries.
Might have only been primaries. Because Luna's right now, I mean, this is just a total, it was in and out for reload. Okay, that's what it was. In and out. You had to run in and out of it for a reload. So, you know, you're running in and out of a well, which, you know, it was in and out to start. You had to step in and out. Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically, Luna's right now are an issue with all of these things. I'm hoping that they change them. As much as we all love Luna's, like they're such an awesome exotic when, you know, when you're just shredding everything, but they take out a lot of the challenge and they remove a whole subclass or a whole class from being even nice to use.
Yeah.
And the
I
fun,
like to
dude.
feel powerful, but I like to earn feeling powerful instead of just
Yep.
All right, everybody use this thing and okay, good. Go.
Right.
Click.
Year 1 exotic, by the way.
Year 1, yeah, day 1 exotic. Day 1 exotic.
Where are we at?
We're at supers everywhere. So that is the way that they are changing it, guys. So if you're wondering about stacking rules, debuffs, buffs, buff only one buff that's the strongest out of all of them will work. Debuff, strongest debuff, and then debuff and a buff, you can still work those two together. So tractor cannon and Lumina will work together or something like that. And then stacking, you can still stack multiplicatively, so you can still take a tractor cannon with your well and you can still do whatever with that. So that's gonna work, but just know that you won't be able to just run up all these different buffs together. So now we are in supers everywhere, guys. Supers kind of suck in PvP, man. Oh my god. So supers everywhere. We all know the damage dealing capabilities of Guardians has gotten out of control. This is what Luke said. We know the supers have too. Destiny 2 was overly restrictive at launch, but now the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction. We'll start bringing this back toward the center in Shadowkeep. Supers will be just as powerful, but they will be more of a strategic choice. As such, we're reducing the effectiveness of orbs on refilling the super meter and reducing the super energy gain from kills and assists. So, they're saying that supers are going to be just as powerful. So, supers are going to be just as powerful. It's just earning them is going to be a lot harder, is what they're saying. And heavy ammo available. This is the one that made a lot of people kind of shake, like, kind of scratch their head. I guess let's talk about supers first, because heavy ammo one is kind of separate. So guys, what do we think about them tuning supers to still be powerful, but just take longer to get?
I thought they were changing the damage resistance too, because I
thought they were too.
I do recall that.
I remember him talking about that in the Guardian Con stream, that in the future we're looking at adjusting roaming supers and damage resistance.
They did. Yeah, I controlled F'd it on the part 3, and he did mention that. Yeah.
Okay.
So seeing someone pop a super should not instinctively make us want to run away, give up, or jump off the map.
Yep.
Which is what they do right now.
I miss the days where if you looked at like a blade dancer coming at you in D1, that was the scariest shit you could have ever seen in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you hit the headshot on him with like a high impact sniper, it would kill him. It rewards you for challenging, essentially.
And you felt like
you have to be smarter with your super. Yeah.
Yeah, I will know. I mean, yeah, I think that supers right now you can get killed by the same super 3 times in a row, and it's the same guy running in the same line, just kicking forward with his roaming Titan super. The strikers gotta stop. But I mean, this is kind of weird that he kind of acknowledged that the pendulum has swung too far, but he says supers will be just as powerful. I think what he meant to say by that, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I think what he meant us to interpret that as is supers will be dealing the same amount of damage, but their damage resistance might get decreased. So like a Titan kicking you will still kill you in one hit, but like you can actually kill that Titan with one crit sniper or something. You know, I think
Yeah.
it's just saying that when you're in your super, it'll be just as powerful.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and
heavy,
that makes sense.
yeah, totally. Heavy ammo available. So this is the one that was a big head scratcher for most of the community. I don't really understand what the idea was here, but it's saying we're making some changes to heavy ammo in Destiny 2. Heavy ammo will be communal in the 6v6 playlist. We're also reducing the amount of ammo per brick in PvP for certain 6v6. It's not exactly the same as D1, though. When a player cracks open the heavy crate, other players will have a window of time to interact with it to get their heavy ammo. So you can have all 6 people on your team running around with truth at once.
Well, I thought that was a lot better in the system we have now, because now you just have kids shoulder charging you off the heavy, and like they sit with a hammerhead in the back and just don't move.
Yeah.
I think this will encourage players to move forward with their heavy at least, because everybody's going to want to run around with their truth and try and pick up as many heavy bricks as they can from the players that they kill.
Yeah, I mean,
Just to stack.
I think the first time I read that, I went, what the hell? Now everybody's gonna be running around with hammerhead anyway. Like, you're just giving 6 people hammerhead. But I do think that since they said that they're reducing the amount, and I don't know if it's only spawning once. I don't think it is. I think it's just saying we're reducing the amount of heavy ammo per brick, but I don't think it says that it's dropping once. I think it's saying that it doesn't say anything about time adjustments, so we'll have to see with that. But
yeah, you better change that too. That's gonna be bad,
dude. Some games, I don't know if it's intentional or if it bugs out, but some games start the game with heavy ammo already in there, just right there for people to grab. So that could be really, that could have some major implications on the way that PvP is handled. Speaking of PvP, let's talk about PvP some more.
Ooh, good segue, Evan.
Yeah. Trials of the Nine wasn't the hero we wanted it to be. We made too many changes to a formula that, while it had begun to decline in Destiny 1, and I want to point that out for everybody in chat, it had begun to decline in Destiny 1. It wasn't as flawed as they thought, but it did still decline. I think everybody holds Trials in this perfect spotlight of being the ultimate game mode, I think it's just the fact that it was the first pinnacle PvP game mode that we've ever seen in a game. That was really, really cool. Like, I really liked it, but we can't lie that by year 3 in Trials, we all kind of went, this icebreaker meta is annoying. Like, I don't really enjoy Trials as much as I used to. I don't think it's going to give me the same charm. So they said they talked about a lot about making sure it felt like a sequel, bringing in new players and simplifying the game, and Trials of the Nine created another casualty there. It happened on his watch, and if he could turn back time, he'd challenge them to do many different things. If nothing else, they hope that it's clear they're committed to learning from the mistakes that they made and making it right. So they are committed, and it sounds like from a lot of the stuff that we'll talk about further into this, that they are very, very committed to bringing back Trials in the best way possible. But guys, what do you think was the problem with Trials of the Nine? What do you think didn't really work with Trials of the Nine? I guess let's exclude the obvious one, that it was 4v4 not 3v3. What is something that Trials of the Nine did other than that you were just like, I'm not really feeling this as much?
The weapon system was awful. I kind of think it's like the Destiny 1 decline. I'd say that decline was due to that meta, like you said. But more specifically in Destiny 2, we were back in the old weapon system where you had 2 primaries and a heavy, and I don't really remember what people were using, to be honest with you, but like the ammo
it was like Uriel's gift, might a multi-tool.
Yeah, and just the weapon selection, you got to choose from like 3 different weapons, otherwise you were using the wrong ones. And it was not good. Not a good spot.
Yeah. Vauda, what was something that stood out for you about Trials of the Nine that you were just like, not really feeling it?
Personally, I didn't like the map. I honestly, I'm not that great of a PvP player, so just that within itself, I already was like, great, cool. This game mode where I already am uncomfortable in, on this map that I'm not crazy about, playing against people who are playing with their feet and can kill me with, I can't even see them. Great. everything just as a whole, I didn't like. But for me, the biggest thing was that map. The thing I liked about, which I can't remember if D1 Trials was this way or not. It's been so long. Did they have? Was it the same map?
It was the same map every single week, and then sometimes they rotated maps. So, like they changed it up every once in a while, but it was mostly just the one map for the whole entire weekend.
Okay. Even then, you still had that little bit of, well, I'm not going to play this weekend. I'm not really that great on this map, but next week when this map rolls around, that's my map.
There's a lot of maps that were unbalanced for sure.
Whereas I think with this Trials of the Nine, we're stuck on that one map that can't think of the name of, which I hope to God is taken out when we do that.
Equinox.
Yeah, that one.
Like the newer version of the 9 area. Or are you talking about the old? Okay. For me, I agree with what the Vengeful Vigilante said, which is the token economy at the time was so restrictive that it made playing it not very fun at all.
I forgot about tokens.
I also feel like they never, one of the things that, and they even said that they tried to add it into a sequel, make it feel like a sequel, was just the fact that Trials of the 9 felt no different from Trials of Osiris. We were wondering why it had the 9. I loved the area that they used for like showing us the emissary, showing us that whole thing, and now you can see it in Reckoning. Like, I don't know, there's something about that area that's super cool and mysterious, and I love that, but the Banes didn't really, or the Boons didn't really feel like anything new. There was nothing really new added. The weapons were cool looking, but as far as just the system that we had for weapons, it was just like, cool, I get this sniper that is heavy ammo for some reason. Like, I can't use this as a secondary. This is a heavy sniper. Like, it was just weird in that regard, and I think that's why it didn't stick. I agree with you there, is that the weapons were really weird. I also think that just the economy with tokens was just weird at the time, like not being rewarded at the end of a game, because Trials was all about, oh my god, I got the helmet just as a random drop with a good intellect discipline build, like this is a good one, or like getting the rare emblem to drop just by playing the mode, or stuff like that. And I remember always wanting to feel like victorious, like I got the Trials emblem, this is my emblem, like this, this is really cool. Like I loved getting this, like the first time getting the exotic emblem from Trials, like that was super cool. And there was really none of that feeling of feeling victorious, because realistically at the time the meta was, like you said, double primaries and focusing on just one thing at a time, like one target at a time, like whole entire team shooting, like that's not Destiny at its core. So it would be really tough. And my other side note is that my first game was against Grenadier Jake on Xbox, and I got my ass whooped, so that put a bad taste in my mouth.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Okay, so that about sums it up for the Trials stuff. But in general, PvP is in need of some quality of life improvements and restructuring, is what he said. First, we want players to have some more agency with respect to pick a playlist, play a mode. And second, we want the playlist to drift back to the everything is a factor of 3 that Destiny 1 used and the rest of the game mostly uses. We've removed the quick play and competitive nodes from the director. If you're looking for an experience like quick play, we've added Classic Mix, a connection-based playlist like quick play today. Classic Mix includes Control, Clash, and Supremacy. Competitive is replaced by a 3v3 survival, which now awards glory. We've also added a survival solo queue playlist that also awards glory. So think of Lone Wolf from Halo 3. We've added 6v6 Control as its own playlist. With the potential influx of new players this fall, we want to have a playlist that signals to new players that this is where to start. We feel like 6v6 Control is the right starting place when introducing new friends to Destiny. We've added a weekly 6v6 rotator and a weekly 4v4 rotator. There's a lot to talk about here, but these rotator playlists are where modes like Clash, Supremacy, Mayhem, Lockdown, and Countdown will appear. And it says we've removed some underperforming maps from matchmaking too. We're talking about you, Vostov or whatever, Vostov. Yeah. Talking about you, Equinox. Elimination returns in 4 different modes. of elimination. There's 4 different types of elimination, guys. If this isn't a tease that they're experimenting for what Trials wants to be, I don't know what is. New players won't play with old players. That's the other part of it. And it says we've refactored how players gain glory ranks with these skill match games. We're factoring in your skill value to glory gains and losses. So that number can effectively represent skill. So quickly, guys, what's your biggest takeaway from the playlist kind of changing, the UI, all that kind of stuff changing in there? What is your biggest takeaway from there?
Moving towards Destiny 1.
Yeah.
Moving towards Destiny 1, what do you mean?
First thing that comes to mind. Well, again, like you said in the last podcast, just taking steps back. It never being able to choose what you want to play. It's nice to have like fun mixes modes or whatever, but you should always be able to be like, for core modes at least, I want to go play Control. Let me click Control and go play Control instead of having to hope that it's Control when I'm in quick play.
Yeah, I think that was people's main complaint with comp as well. As like, oh, it's this map, okay, well, it's gonna be survival. Okay, it's this map, it's gonna be countdown. Oh god, this is annoying. Like, I want it to be one consistent thing. Like, people would rather play Clash in a 4v4 in competitive than play some of the other modes. So it's kind of weird how that works, right? One of my biggest things that I really loved about this, and it's something that I've been saying, oh my god, why isn't this a thing for so long? It's a thing in Overwatch, it's a thing in Siege, it's a thing in anything with some kind of competitive playlist. We're factoring in your skill value to glory gains and losses, so that number can more effectively represent skill. If I am in a game and there is somebody on my team who gets 0 kills because they're AFK in comp, and if I'm in there and I get a 30 bomb and we still lose, I should not lose 200 glory and they should lose 200 glory with me. I should lose 40, maybe even less, or whatever, you know. Just awarding players for still being at the top of their team even in a losing effort, that incentivizes you to keep on keeping on, even when the game is not going your way. So I really like that. One of the other things is they said 4 different elimination modes. 4 different elimination modes. So that is, I don't know what the modes are. Maybe they are on his director's cut, but I
don't think they said specifically.
He just said
I think
there
he might have mentioned one of them actually.
It was something to do with just regular thing, and I know he mentioned the fact that basically, like, right now elimination isn't fleshed out, so there isn't going to be medals per, you know, for the game mode itself. There really isn't many voice lines either, so it's going to be very bare
just
bones
playing.
And it's like a Crucible Labs kind of thing, which they are bringing back as well. So dude, I can't even begin to explain how good of a change 3v3 instead of 4v4 is, because 4v4 just felt awkward. It felt like, hey, I won the fight, but yet there's still somebody up.
It's so much easier to chain supers in 4v4 too. It's just that extra person to get orbs off of that can just continue the cycle.
Right, it's the three on one side, one person flank the back just to get their attention. You know, it's that kind of stuff. That's what 4v4 does, and 3v3 is a lot harder to execute that. And I like his philosophy of saying, well, you take 6 people from a raid and then you go, okay, let's go play some Crucible. Well, now it's like you have 6 players if you want to do that, or if you want to do a private match, it's still 3v3, or like breaking into 3s and trying to match up together to play against each other, just something like that. I like the 6v6, 3v3. I think that's a good balance. I think 4v4 always felt really weird, so I do like the change there.
One of the just to touch on the elimination modes, I have the full part 3 up. The 2 of them that he outlined were different approaches to revives, so whether you're using res tokens or not, and just different variations on how they've got heavy ammo working for those elimination modes.
Oh, so like one of them has a res token used, or one of them has it so you can just keep on reviving somebody. That's okay, that's cool. I like how they're experimenting with 4 different modes though for that, because if, once again, everybody in chat, everybody's watching the podcast on YouTube, if this doesn't scream we're testing for Trials in the future, I don't know what does. What does. Like, just put 2 and 2 together, kind of read between the lines there. Okay, so the other thing, and this is something that I actually talked about earlier on in the stream before we started the pod, which was an evolving world, a universe that is going somewhere. this is wait. Yeah, no. Okay, cool. So this is basically at the end of part 3, the end of Director's Cut 3, an evolving world, a universe that is going somewhere. So during season 8, a new situation will unfold on the moon. He said, I'm being cagey here only because I'm reluctant to spoil anything. Over the course of the season, parts of the game will change before the situation culminates in an event that will ultimately resolve it, and the content will be exhausted, but this resolution sets up the event of season 9, which then adds something new to the game and resolves it. Then that will too go away, but not before setting up season 10, and then keep on going. It says in late August, so that would be next week, this week's May, I don't know. It says we're going to talk about the annual pass and how it's continuing to evolve. But what do you guys think about the evolving world building, all that kind of stuff in that regard? What do you guys think about that? First impressions, I guess.
Well, we have a lot of stories going on right now.
Yeah.
We've got Hive stories, we've got Vex stories, we've got, I think we have an Osiris story. I wasn't really sure about what happened on in that DLC, but
somewhere
there's like a cliff notes. There's like Osiris is in the game too. There's a lot of very open-ended stories, and to see we still don't know what the Drifters deal is, and we're 2 seasons disconnected from him now. Like we know Gambit sucks and nobody likes to play it anymore because we got a whole fucking season tied to it and everybody hates it, but we still don't know what his deal is. To actually have a story begin and a story end is nice, and I'd like to at the end of a season be like, okay, I know what happened, I get it.
Yeah.
What's next? Let's finish off this story now.
Yeah.
Eventually, the story's got to come to the end, dude. Eventually.
Sweat, I think by seeing the background of your room right there, I think we can see something that you did on Last Wish that caused some events in the world to change, right?
Yeah, way to go.
That way.
Prick.
Yeah.
You ruined the world.
So yeah, you guys unleashed the curse on the world, which added some kind of world building, evolved the world. I think what he's implying there is that the world is going to evolve even more after we beat the next raid in the Black Garden, and then it's just going to keep on evolving every single season. So maybe every single raid the world evolves, just something along those lines. So
I think it would be seasonal, probably.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really cool to see that something like, okay, we did some in the Black Garden, now get a little cutscene, these 6 guardians went into the Black Garden, they beat the raid, and now we all have to either enjoy the benefits of it because now we have access to all this information, or we unleash a curse on the world, or whatever it is. So personally, for me, I'm a broadcast major, but I have a lot of experience working in script writing classes, script writing this, working on productions, all that kind of stuff. It is very, very cool to feel like you're a part of something that keeps evolving, especially with a game that's gone on for this long, and it adds a real sense of story building. It adds a real sense of seeing the stuff from the pages come to life, seeing the actual power of something. I also,
especially when you're there, like when it happens for the first time.
Exactly. I play a lot of the Souls games, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, etc. So every single time you see an item in the game and it talks about this thing or this person that was there, just all that kind of stuff, it always then bridges into like, well, are we gonna see this person? What do they look like? Are they powerful? And seeing that world kind of evolve from there, like, there's an item in the game or something that says like, if you kill this thing, the whole world's gonna change, and then you kill the thing and boom, like fucking night comes and it's completely different. Like that kind of stuff is something that in games is very, very cool, especially a game that's gonna go on for a long time. So, and you have
speaking of that, the chain reaction where you kill something, I don't think we discussed this. I think Bife has made a video on it now. There's a piece of lore that was found, reread over actually, that whenever it said I don't remember word for word what it said, but it said as soon as somebody achieves 999 power and goes into the Shattered Throne and kills Duel and Karu, the end boss, the Dreaming City curse solo will break. The curse will break.
Yeah.
So that was a huge bombshell. That got a lot of people hyped.
Yep. And that, once again, that might actually close off a path, and that's gonna kind of bridge into another thing that is a part of the same thing, which is, dude, when are we gonna see an end to a storyline? There is.
Yeah.
Have we seen an end of any storyline?
No, we have seen an opening and a middle to all of them, but no end in sight.
Dude.
We are.
We even see like the beginning. Like we started at the beginning of some stories. Like
we still are getting new stories.
We didn't know anything about that before it, and it's like, hey, just go in here and kill this giant Vex by pushing him off the map. Like,
and we are still seeing new stories. You know, like we're being introduced to whole new stories when we don't even know where the hell the stranger is, what her deal is, what's going on there. You know, we don't really know. I guess Osiris did get an end to his story, but Osiris is a very small part of some of the other things that are going on. Like, how about Oryx's sister, Savathun? You know, like,
yep,
we know about her. We're at the beginning stages of Savathun. We also still have the Queen fighting a whole war. We have Eris Morn is back, which, you know, we still need to know about a lot of that stuff. Oryx did end. I will agree with you there. Oryx did end, but that only opened up more to that path line with the Hive.
Yeah.
We know
storyline.
We have so much with the Vex that we're gonna delve into this year. This whole entire year is about the Vex, so that's cool. We have so much to delve into. We don't know a lot of the things. We keep being introduced to different storylines, and I don't know, I think it'd be nice to have an end, and I really like that the world is evolving. I really like that there could be an end to the Dreaming City's curse. You know, people are telling me like, well, that could be, you know, that could be a rumor, that, or like not a rumor, but that could be like a trick or something, that it's actually ending or breaking the curse will do nothing, it'll actually make it worse. I don't know, I heard some theories about that, but I don't know. I think it'd be really cool to see, oh, the Dreaming City storyline is over, because I don't want, my biggest fear for Destiny is that it might get a Lost effect. You guys ever watch Lost?
No.
Okay, in Lost it started out so great. There was like so many characters, so many storylines, you're wondering about, you have like that kiddish joy of like, what is on the other side of that door, what is there, you know, there's all these like the numbers, there's like the time, there's like all this different, there's like this black mist, nobody knows what the hell is going on with the island, and then almost none of the storylines get resolved, and it just kind of ends, and you're just left with, what the fuck, dude, I waited so long and there's no end to anything.
Sounds like Game of Thrones.
In a way, but at least Game of Thrones like did end a lot of the storylines. They just kind of collapse at the end. But I don't know. I would really like to see some kind of going back to some of the other stories that we've already had in the game. Like, you know, I want to know what the hell's going on with the stranger. Maybe we'll see that in Destiny 3, but there's so many characters in the world with so many stories. And you know who I kind of forgot about is the speaker.
He's dead.
Oh, he dead?
He got murdered by
he got murdered. All right,
That's
dude,
it.
Poor guy. I forgot about that. That cutscene, yikes. All right, well, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's a really cool thing that they want the world to evolve just the way the Dreaming City did.
Mm-hmm.
They got some big dick energy going on, man. Their plans.
Yep.
They're getting me hyped as shit.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when Deathwing came and destroyed half the planet. That was like a big thing where like we want our players to log in, and suddenly the world has just changed just completely.
Right.
And now to see a lot of other games starting to take that, like you look at in the Division 2, like the world first raid team, they've got a plaque on the White House wall of like, these are the players who beat the raid.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Well, I mean, dude,
that stuff's exciting.
Destiny did it. To me, Destiny did it the best, which is like, 6 Guardians went in, whooped some ass, and now the whole entire world has changed. I don't know. I think that's so cool. I think it'd be cool to see your names in like in the Dreaming City or something, but that was still really cool.
Well, one thing that that came to mind is like one step up would be like a what's the word for it? Like they do in Fortnite. Like it happens on the map where they have those. Like the recently one, what was it? Like the robot. And
Yep, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is I think that they are
Live
following the
action.
Fortnite formula there, which is like the world is gonna change because this event will happen. I think they are following Fortnite in that regard. Like that stuff is so cool when that stuff goes on. I don't even like playing Fortnite, but those like in the game seeing it happen things are really cool. Like, hey, be here on this time, hop in, and you'll see a freaking Pacific Rim fight go down in the middle of town. Like, and it's
Being
like,
able
oh
to
no,
pull that
no,
off
this
in
part of the
real
map is
time
gone.
Is nuts.
Yeah, I don't know how they
like-
do that. That is wild.
Yeah, that's some impressive development for sure.
Okay, guys. Well, that is part 2 and part 3 of Luke Smith's director's cut. Is there anything else you guys want to add in before we do questions? We're gonna do a little Q&A segment here.
I want a conspiracy hat for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm very sorry.
Spin foil hat time. I don't have any tin foil, but yeah.
In part 3, Luke Smith put in italics that the 9 in Trials of the 9 is on hiatus indefinitely. So what does that mean?
Trials of Osiris.
Trials of Osiris.
He ain't dead.
Ooh.
Our boy brother Vance is coming back.
No,
Oh, dude.
If they bring Trials of Osiris back, Vance has got to come back too.
For sure.
So right now he just gives you boxes of mystery weapons that you know what they are.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good way to put it, Vauda. That's a good way to end off the regular podcast segment. So let's go to chat, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Just make sure to @ me, or just make sure to ask anything, I guess. I don't know. Okay, Iron Monolith says, if events could possibly affect all patrol zones and in-game areas at once, not just killing Riven affected the Dreaming City, but universal effects maybe. So you're saying that you want potentially events to affect all patrol zones. So like when you're running around, like maybe you do something, a meteor shower comes down and boom, you have like the whole map change. Is that what you mean, Iron? What do you guys, I guess let's just assume that's what he means. Do you guys think that's a cool concept, or do you think just the visual aesthetics changing would be cool?
I mean, any sort of, again, like live action thing I'd be down for, as long as it doesn't absolutely bust the game and like break something. That's the one thing I'm afraid of happening.
Yeah, I agree. As long as consoles can handle it, that's what's important there.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is I want to have more than 5 frames when I'm
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I was scared of with the UI changes. Ghost and a Sparrow, that might increase load time.
Console players are gonna be pissed. God, now it takes me 25 seconds to change my gun. This is bullshit.
Yep.
I can't solo anything.
Opal, or Miss Opalescent, says, what do we think about Twilight Gap and Widow's Court returning?
2 of the best maps that have ever graced Crucible.
I love those maps.
I won't even lie. When I played Destiny 1, I hated playing on Twilight Gap because I got my ass kicked every time. But like, I just like the fact that we're gonna get a change of scenery. I just want more maps in the game, because PvP feels so like there's 2 maps I look forward to, and the rest I just go, well, here we go. Like,
yeah.
I don't know most of, if not all of, the PvP maps in this game.
I don't know the names of a lot of them. Yeah, but I do know I do know them, but I don't know the names of all of them.
I'm familiar with enough with like how to navigate them.
Right. Yeah.
Names, couldn't tell you.
There's the 2 Titan.
Don't care about them at all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. As soon as they were like Twilight Gap and Widow's Court, I'm like, fuck, I love those maps, man. Can't wait.
That's my shit.
I know them. Them's my friends.
Yeah, Widow's Court was always one of my favorites. I just love that. Sekville asks, how was your day? Good.
All right.
Good. Yeah.
Pretty spicy,
man. Mr. Alpha Wolf says, what do you want next season's Crucible pinnacle weapon to be?
Shotgun.
I agree. Well, you know what? Hot take here.
Sword.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Do you know what I'm gonna say?
Don't say it.
You better not say hand cannon. I swear to God.
Sidearm.
I knew he was gonna fucking say it.
Why you gotta be so toxic like that, Evan?
I don't know, man. Sidearms are so underused. So like we could do something with the like how Recluse got changed into this over the top powerful weapon. You could make sidearms at least viable in Crucible by doing something with them. I think shotguns are fun. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love shotguns, but sidearm, a really good sidearm that's actually like, yo, I actually want to use the sidearm in my inventory would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool, game changing.
I'm having flashbacks to the D1 sidearm meta, like the Wormwood and the Trespasser.
Oh my God!
Remember
those were
when
days.
Mida and Vestian Dynasty was a meta for a little bit? Like some people would
Yeah.
mess around with that. Wolfie Ticks, my bad, not Wolfie Tricks, Wolfie Ticks, I'm sorry, Wolfie. With how much they have talked about everything but weapons, if Shadowkeep doesn't introduce new weapon perks, can Destiny truly hold us? I think so.
Yeah.
I think I rely pretty heavily on Kill Clip, Outlaw, Rampage. You know, there's a few other perks, but like, I mean, obviously adding new perks is good, but I think the weapon perks right now, like, I think it would hold me for the most part. So
There's a lot of good ones that we have. There's some that like obviously people don't look for, which you want the loot pool. In terms of like, say for example, like you go for an Ostringer in the Menagerie. When you're farming for that, I think it's the old farm was a good farm because there's not too many bad perks that you're looking for. Some of them are usable, and then obviously you have your S tier perks that you're using. But implementing two new perks is always a good thing to keep it fresh, but you shouldn't always stray away from the things that you have.
yeah, I think so. Like one of the most underused perks right now, which I hope gets used more, is Demolitionist. I actually think it's a really cool perk that'll work really well on Armor 2.0, because if you're going for an intellect build, being able to be like, well, I have Demolitionists on, so now I can, you know, get my grenade energy back super quickly still. So like it becomes a valuable perk in Armor 2.0 for sure. So we might be seeing with Armor 2.0 some perks that you wouldn't use before get used quite a bit. Okay, so Iron Monolith again asked thoughts on formulas for raids at the moment. Any changes you would like to see? What do you mean by formulas on the raids? Do you mean like like be a little bit more specific on that one, because I don't necessarily know what you mean formulas on the raids.
We could go anywhere with that one.
Formulas. I'm assuming he's maybe talking about like the way that we do raids in terms of
the way they are built, how you get layer style, etc. Oh, you mean like just the design philosophy around encounters? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean like arena, like the rooms?
Yeah, I think we might all be a little bit underqualified to answer that one. It takes a lot to build just a lair, let alone a full raid, which is why you don't see them come out with every piece of content. And I know a lot of people get disappointed, like, oh, there's no raid. It's like, well, that's a lot of development time and a lot of pressure for someone to come up with something fresh all the time.
That's why there are layers, is to be able to reuse space so that there can be like a new raid, but you don't have to create an entirely new arena planet to make that possible. Which is why I thought Levy was cool for that fact, but Eater, it was not a good introduction to that.
He's saying like the smaller raids comparison to something like Last Wish or Scourge. So basically what you were saying, like how raid layers exist and how for me, I really liked hard mode raids, but I also understand like how much time they took, because they built hard mode raids first and then they built regular raids after, with the design intended for hard modes to be the main way to experience it. So I mean, at that point, it's like, I don't know. Personally, I think hard modes would be cool, but if it's stressing out the team and they want to make more raids instead of just like, you know, making a hard mode raid for one, I think it'd be cooler to see more raids. And honestly, with just the changes like we talked about earlier, with buffs not stacking as high, I think raids are just going to get harder and you might actually enjoy them more.
I mean, in terms of building them, one other final thing I guess to add is like you said, it takes forever. I remember I think it was Andrew Hops. Shout out to him, by the way. Went on
Fucking
like
hilarious on Twitter.
I don't remember where he was on. They were talking about the development of raids. Last Wish was in the oven, I think they said, for almost a year before it was finished. So to be able to continuously do a cycle of that caliber, where Last Wish is eating a good amount of their resources throughout that entire year, it's not physically possible to keep making big raids like that, like every 3 months. No way. Not unless
Yeah.
they're able to expand their studio and get more
Mhm.
resources.
Which
Part of the thing that
they
talked
lost.
about too was, go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say which they lost actually 2 studios that helped them make content this year. They lost my favorite studio, which I think Bungie should buy, which is Vicarious Visions. They're amazing. And then they lost High Moon Studios as well, because those are owned first party by Activision. So you actually lost a lot of people that helped you make that content. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool to see, you know, more focused on a hard mode, more focused on, you know, fleshing out some of the encounters, like make it like those once a year raids are definitely the big selling points for a lot of people, including myself. Sorry about my garage, but that is something that, dude, it's like earlier with that lawnmower that was outside of your house, I could hear it the whole time.
So
Yeah, but okay. So Zombie asks, do you think it would ever be possible to make bows relevant? Yeah.
It'd be hard to. I think with bows, especially, the hardest part is one, how long it takes them to fire, as well as figuring out how much damage they should do. Because it's like you know those coin pusher games where you have all the coins stacked at the edge.
Yep.
That's where you want it. But if you go too far, all the coins spill off, and then you're fucked. You do too much damage.
Well, I like Hush. Hush is actually a really cool concept that it fires that quickly when you like when you get that one crit and then you hip fire, you can just fire the thing away. I do think that seeing something like the heavy bow, which is something that I've been talking about for a long time, what Wishender to me should have been, is a heavy bow that just knocks things back really far. I think that like bows can be meta just like the same way that scout rifles can be meta, the same way that pulse rifles can. It just comes down to how much of a how much of a damage increase are they going to get, what are they going to do, what's their, like, it all comes down to how they want to adjust and balance it. So I mean, I think bows have potential. I really like, dude, bows on console feel so nice. They're probably the nicest thing to use on a controller in my opinion. But I mean, I don't see myself using a bow because right now in our meta, where do bows fit in? They don't.
They just
So
don't have a place at all.
they're cool. They're a really cool concept. I'm glad they're in the game, and they will be eventually, I'm sure, useful in a lot of ways. But right now they're just not. Right now they're not super there. But it just comes down to anything else. Like, you know, you balance it by increasing the amount of damage that it does, and then you keep tinkering with it until it's in a place where it's fun to use. Like, I think fusion rifles right now are a good example of that. Fusion rifles got a huge buff, and they're not like used in every activity, but they're fun to use, and they're really good. Okay, so let's go to a different question. Thoughts on competitive being changed to only survival? I think we talked about this already, but
Big like.
It's a step up, but people want it to be Clash, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, Clash is the superior, like, competitive game mode.
We got more kills than you, we win.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
It's like COD, dude. TDM. It's simple as that. It's competitive. It's been tradition for how many shooting games for how long? Just outslay, you win.
Yeah, I think I mean, I think survival is just, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, yeah, people like Clash because I think people like Clash more for the fact that in 4v4 Clash just feels good right now. Like, it feels with our meta in 4v4, it just feels good. But personally, I think survival will be fine as our only competitive. I mean, if you don't like survival at all, it'll be like at least it'll be the only thing. So like, you won't have to, you can prepare yourself to know that every game will be survival instead of it being like, well, this was Clash, well, this was Control, so you got to play it this way. Like, no, every map will be survival, so you have to just, you know what you're getting into, so you might actually like it more.
I hated the anxiety.
What's up?
What was that, Sweat?
I was saying with a better tuning of maps, they're getting rid of
Hmm.
the not
Yep,
so good.
all the
maps.
bad maps, aka like half of them right now.
I would hate the anxiety of going on like a 4 streak in comp and be like, all right, we've had like Clash and Control, and like, I'm good at those, and then you get into like whatever that search and destroy game mode is that I don't remember the name of because I hate it. And I'm like, great, here goes my streak because I can't play this game mode. Awesome.
Yeah, no, I know, right? Also, this is from Iron Monolith again. Also, thoughts on balance between getting story campaigns versus just activities / quests. So I think what he's saying is, would you guys like more story campaigns, or would you like just more activities / quests to do instead of story activities?
Well, I feel like those two things go hand in hand because a lot of
Mhm.
quests make you go back to story stuff.
Right,
don't-
but do you think that you'd rather have a quest that makes it so you do, like, would you rather have things that are more focused on quests that don't involve the story, or do you think that like story itself should be, do you think they should cut back on the story the same way they did Forsaken, where it's more of an adventure activity, and then like, you know, you go and do quests after, and like the story isn't really the main part of it, that's like just the intro?
Well, I like having the freedom to like Dreaming City, just being able to explore. But I do think there needs to be like a set line towards a direction to at least point you in the right direction, rather than just unhooking the leash and just saying go with no sense of
Mhm.
direction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dude.
I agree.
I really like I personally feel like, you know, Destiny is better when, like, a lot of people like the cinematic cutscenes. I've never really cared for them. I don't think they've done anything to really help the game. Like, I feel like no matter what, something is gonna be like, you see it and you fight it. That's where the main stuff for me comes into play. I don't know. The cutscenes look cool, but I don't think we need like a story full of cutscenes. I don't think we need to focus our resources on cutscene filled stories. I think I'd rather have it more of
30
the
FPS
Forsaken.
cutscenes.
Yeah, 30 FPS cutscenes. Sorry, people on
For me, the
console, that one is not gonna. They're like, what?
The cutscene set a tone. Like I remember watching the the Taken battle with Oryx and Mara, and that kind of set the tone of like,
Mhm.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
this guy's not somebody that we can just steamroll. And then we eventually ended up going on to steamroll them.
And we steamrolled them.
But I mean, when
Can't
you
keep
think of
us
it
down.
from
We're the true Rocky story.
yeah, when you think of it from like a I am my character's perspective, you're like, okay, that's strong, and this probably isn't going to be too easy because he just eliminated the entire Awoken army with one attack. Cool. That's what
Yeah.
we're into. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think just to sum it up, it would be, I think mostly we'd rather see more quest stuff and less to do with campaign. Even though we like the campaigns, like, it does add story to it. I think the quests alone, if you make creative quests, I think they're gonna add way more of a good storytelling than a campaign would.
For sure.
So Bad Wolf asks, general preference: secret whisper / outbreak missions, or truth / last word type of quests. Dude, always
That's
whisper
no
outbreak.
contest.
Always
yeah,
whisper
always.
outbreak.
Any day of the week.
Those outbreak to
Next
me
question.
is the best mission Destiny has ever made. Outbreak will always be the best mission that they've ever made, in my opinion. Dude, there is nothing better. Like, the whisper was great, but there was nothing better than, like, not only taking the normal mission and having a route to go through, but then taking the heroic version and having a whole different route to go through. That was so cool, with like a floor trap, and there's like a secret input code that you have to put in to get the ship. I mean, that was so cool, and I would
Cherry
love
on
more
top.
of those. Yeah, that was just the best.
Even if it wasn't like a gun that you got from that little secret thing, it was cool.
Yeah,
Just
it
to
was
have
a
something that complex inside of already a super cool.
it was
activity that
already a
happened.
secret mission, and that adds to the point before of quests over story, because I learned more and was more interested in the Fallen in that mission than anything we have been involved with in the Fallen before. Why is this guy working with us? Why are other Fallen trying to steal Siva? Why is this guy wanting to partner up with us, and then you learn that through the lore that, you know, he wants to start his own faction of Fallen called the what is it, the House of Light. And I really like that. That's a good way to do storytelling, in my opinion. That's showing, not telling us.
Find out for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of makes you feel like they actually are assuming that we can put 2 and 2 together, which I like. I like it when stories aren't like, you know, tell you all the expository dialogue, like, this is my sister and she's mean. You know, like, I'd rather it be like, hey, how about your sister punches you on the shoulder for doing something stupid? I don't know, like, whatever.
Yeah. Don't spoon feed it to me, but like, give it to me.
Right, exactly. Like, make it understandable, but like, make us ask questions. Okay, so Tank Lives Matter. Oh, he asked me thoughts. Who would win in a fight, Riven or Callus?
Don't you doubt my big boy Callus.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and back off on that one, because dude, Riven's a cutie, but let's be real, dude. Callus, I mean, he's got a whole army of him. You gotta fight like thousands of Calluses before you get to fight Callus.
Callus is the OG Chungus. Of course he's gonna win.
Riven is just the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob.
That is true. Or no, that is Zol. That is
Zol. That is Zol. But you don't go inside a Zol. You do go inside a Riven.
Yet. Next question.
Oh, okay. Sec, I'm not gonna ask that one. I have no fucking clue what that means, so I'm not gonna ask.
Couple more good questions.
Finest estimated raid difficulty light.
No
yes.
I'm just gonna throw a number out there. I'm gonna say it's gonna start at 970. This is no contest. I'm just gonna say 970.
I'm gonna go ahead and say
940.
Well, considering pinnacle activities, you can do powerful stuff, but pinnacle activities drop past 950. I'm gonna say the raid on contest is gonna be 920. The raid on day 1 is gonna be 940. My guess, maybe 950.
Okay.
It's a way more in-depth answer than we gave.
I mean, dude, it's all a shot in the dark at this
Way
point.
to show off, Evan. Like,
yeah, no kidding. No.
I got the 5 head for a reason, boys. What can I say? Okay, let's find a couple more good questions here. Do we have any more good? Do you guys have any more questions?
Somebody throw one more.
There we go. Iron Monolith with a fucking long ass question, so I'm assuming it's a good one by default. Another raid question. Thoughts on RNG, exotics, etc. I know people dislike the RNG, but would you rather have a triumph system where 1,000 kills in Last Wish gave you 1k versus it being RNG loot, or having that triumph system as a backup for those who have RNG? Sweat, I see you nodding or shaking your head. Thoughts?
No, dude. That's the RNG thing has been a thing since VOG, the very first raid. And people always sought out Vex Mythoclast because it was actually desirable. Evan did talk about, I think on the last one, that there could be possibly like a raid pinnacle weapon would be cool. That way it's not exotic. That way you don't always have to eat up your exotic slot, which I have a real problem with that happening. Maybe something could be tied along that line in terms of doing stuff in the raid, not just like 10,000 kills. Maybe you have to do so many bosses and other whatever stuff. But I definitely think that they should always leave room for a new raid exotics, because that's just tradition at this point.
Mm-hmm. It gives people something to chase too. It's like, I don't have 1k.
Yep.
I really want 1k. We've got to go back.
Always having a reason to go back to an activity is very, very good in terms of replayability value.
Yeah. I
always thought that 1k was always, even though, like, you know, some people complain that I never got 1k. I fucking hate this because I can't get Vauda with Anarchy. I can't I can't get 1k. And for me, I get like, dude, I have I think 20 Anarchies to date. It's a lot, right? So it's just that's the RNG nice though, right? Yeah, just saying. What can I say? It was but like what ultimately the point is is pretty simple. It's that those kind of weapons to me should be RNG, because at the end of the day, if I want to go back and play the raid, I want a reason for me to go and revisit old raids. I really, really like that about Vex Mythoclast. It also makes it so when people go, oh my god, Vex Mythoclast, I've heard about that weapon Reckon and Crucible, like, oh, like, I mean, maybe we shouldn't have a weapon that's that strong, Crucible, but like ultimately what that's saying is like, how do you get it? You have to beat the hard mode Vaults of Glass, and it could drop from the final boss. And everybody goes, dude, but that's so hard. Yeah, but I really want Vex Mythoclast, and it's rare and it's random, but I really want it. So like, ultimately, in my opinion, I think that having rare weapons like that with no bad luck insurance still is fine. However, I don't think that you should be required to get those RNG exotics from the raid for the title. I don't think you should be able to do that. I think that's something that is really annoying. I also think that going back to the raid pinnacle, just an easy way to do it would be make some challenges in the raid, have some multiple steps to it that gives you a legendary that's really effective in the raid. It doesn't have to be effective anywhere else. You can make it really effective for raids. You can make it really effective for that raid, you know, especially with just the way that the game is going to get harder. If you want a ceiling for players to obtain to feel like, oh, well, this is, you know, a lot easier now, you could add that raid pinnacle and people would be like, yeah, you know, I think that we can do this.
One other off-topic thing I wanted to add.
Go for it.
The next raid, I hope we get something like Outbreak Prime, something hidden in there, something juicy.
Cool.
That'd be cool.
It's been a little bit.
Well, we're getting another dungeon, so we are getting another like secret kind of Shattered Throne type thing.
This is just me being greedy and wanting like cool shit.
Dude, okay. Side note, me being greedy here. Tell me it wouldn't be cool if there's more Siva stuff in year 3. I love Siva. I don't know what it is. Siva's just so fucking awesome for me.
I hope it makes a return at some point. But
yeah, it was really interesting anime.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like that whole Venom thing. Okay, we will do one more question if you guys are down. One more very, very good question to end it. I see a lot of who would win in a fight, Vauda's beard or Evan's forehead. I will tell you, do you think a beard can throw fucking headbutts? That's all I'm gonna say.
True.
I mean, you could freaking blind me though.
Square up.
But yeah. Iron says ignore that. Okay, I'll give it a minute tops for a good question. Oh, actually no, we have a good question already. I'm that nightmare. I'm sorry, dude. I totally missed that. Might be a gimme, but do you like that so many exotics are returning? If you could have a returning exotic of choice, what would it be and why? So first of all, this is a two-parter. Do you guys like the fact that there's so many exotics returning?
Yes and no.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on it too.
Yeah. Some of them could have stayed back in Destiny 1. Like they bring them back and then it's like everybody's like, yeah, and then you use it once and you're like, okay, to the vault.
I felt that way with Thorn. Even though I think Thorn is fun to use and I like the change that they made, I don't know, man.
Don't find it.
Yeah, like Last Word is great because Last Word's so strong, but you know, Bad Juju is a great example of that, right? Like,
yeah,
the Bad Juju coming back right now, like, I mean, it's cool, but it's not the same weapon that we remember it, and I don't think it ever will be because it was so tuned to one direction. It was just like, what the fuck? Like, this thing is like, you can just like the ×5 right now with the catalyst is what Bad Juju was in Destiny 1, and that's why we liked it for low man challenges. But Bad Juju right now coming back, I'm like, yeah, it's cool to add more stuff that we've already seen, but when are they gonna stop with old exotics and keep adding things like Malfeasance, like Anarchy is my favorite exotic in the game outside of Tractor Cannon right now because it's just so different. It's so cool. It's so different. And also, like, I guess what was part 2, that if we could have a returning exotic, what would it be, guys? If you could return one exotic for the rest of the game, what would it be?
No Land Beyond.
Vauda.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I don't know.
Just for the lulz.
Touch of Malice, maybe? Touch of Malice.
Touch of Malice in a well would be so OP. Jesus
I
Christ.
thought about that, but in a well, dude, like even if reloading does get fixed, you still have the 1 bullet system, so it sits there and fires the last shot with extra bonus damage. It would be so busted.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they make it so that it eats through your well at a faster rate than you can heal.
Yeah, I mean, Touch of Malice would be really, really hard to bring back, but it's such a cool design. It's one of the most original looking weapons. It has Oryx trapped into the weapon. That's like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I really, really want, like a lot of people want Dark Drinker. I was a huge fan of Raise Lighter, just the amount of damage that it did. I love the fact that the final raid that we got in Destiny 1 was a close range battle with the final boss where swords were the best option through the whole raid. That to me was just so cool. I think for me it's got to be either Dark Drinker or Raise Lighter. Those are such cool weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah, chat, thank you guys for being here. What's up, Vauda?
Part of the issue that you run into with bringing back the old weapons, I know that you're right about to end, but I just thought of this.
Oh, no worries, dude.
You get stuck in wanting them back for their old glory. Like if Galahorn were to come back, it's not going to be good.
Well, year 3 Galahorn wasn't the best option.
No.
Yeah.
Like it won't be the best gun. You know,
That's why it shouldn't have been brought back in the first place.
Exactly. You bring Hawkmoon up, and Hawkmoon, it's gonna get. There's no way you can just have a random 3 lucky shots and someone's just, oh, you got unlucky. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's
luck in the chamber, dude.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Two different types of luck in the chamber. I mean, yeah, I think people definitely see things through rose-tinted glasses, because if you go back and like just see some of the weapons that we had, you'd go, well, we actually have better options now. And like, well, you know, like, you know, a really good example of a weapon is I mean, Galahorn's a great example from year 1 to year 3. Like, it was cool, but it's not the best option. I just think people like the variability, and just having all that stuff, feeling like it's not taken away completely. And especially with how original some of those designs were and how much time it must have taken to make, it just feels weird that some of them aren't in the game. Obviously, we saw in the trailer that Monte Carlo is coming back. I don't know if you guys saw, if you don't know if you guys caught that, but PvP auto rifle, like, cool, you know, like PvP. I don't know.
So excited.
I just think,
dude, can't you tell I'm thrilled?
I just think that
Great gun.
I just think that adding something like that back, like something like Bad Wolf said, Red Death is already back in the form of Crimson, right?
Yeah,
like
it's Crimson. We have
and
it.
I like that they at least tried to evolve that. And yeah, I mean, that is, I guess where I'll leave that is that some exotics aren't as good as you remember them being, and just we should try to introduce as many new things to the loot table as possible. Instead
Spice
of
it up.
Get it nice and
new content.
get it nice and tasty. All right, well that about wraps up the Q&A segment of the pod, man. Anyway, guys, thank you. I fucking, dude, this one rolled a lot better than the last one. I felt like I had a lot more ground on this one. I don't know, I felt like we were all killing on this one.
Direction to go, dude. Last time we were just kind of
we're just like, yo, what's
about
fucking
it.
wrong?
Like, okay,
what's good?
Sing and talk.
The notes helped a lot, that's for sure.
The notes helped. Also, just being on time. I also really like that. I also really like that we had a Q&A at the end of this. All right, well, let's quickly do some shout outs. Guys, you see him in the top left corner. You see that name. We're going to need some absolute love for my man, xVauda. You guys, if you haven't
on your screen, he's up there.
Already,
hit that follow button up there, dude.
Already, go and hit that follow button. Vauda is going to be coming back to Twitch. He's getting a full setup redone, and he's going to launch. He's going to launch off, coming very, very soon with a full revamp to his setup. And then obviously, you guys know me. You know, Mr. Sweaterson, Mr. Sickle, Mr. Sweatcicle. Sweat, what do you have coming up, man? Other than just the raid race, what are you doing on your channel?
Well, I'm attempting to do the spreadsheet, but they're kind of
Cheater.
lacking on the information. Yep, spreadsheet cheater. Returning. I'm working on a guide for like all the new players coming to the game because I want to see as many people stick around as possible, man. I want to see the game booming again. I want to see people excited about it. So I'm gonna do my best to like kind of do like an all-in-one guide for new people. Uh, Other than that, I think 0 to 750 speedrun maybe, but those are literally
Ooh.
my 3 things. That's about it.
Nice.
That'd be
Also,
fun.
about the whole new players thing. Let's talk about that. A way for you to make that video fucking. I have a really good idea for you.
Got some spicy ideas, man.
Oh, dude, I got you. All right. Well, chat. If you guys feel like sticking around for the rest of the stream, I'm gonna be doing probably 1 or 2 either Petra's runs, Leica Diamonds, or Crown of Ease. So if you guys need flawless raids and you're on PC, let's do it, man. Yeah. I don't know. If you guys want some help. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here again. And until the next, I guess, somewhat of an update, maybe the next TWA, maybe the next changes to annual pass, just some juicy stuff coming in the future. That'll be that until then. Thank you guys for joining us for episode 2 of The Reset. And you can catch it on YouTube when it comes out. Probably gonna be out in the next couple days. Anyway, guys, love you.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.